haven't joined us before, and tonight on Try It Out Tuesday we're going to be doing some art journaling. So I'm going to wait for a few more people to join in. So if you are catching up with us later and you'd like to fast forward this first little bit, I'll start moving stuff when other people are here. Okay, I totally understand. Okay. So yes, we're going to be doing some art journaling tonight. I got a bit excited, I'm not going to lie, picking out the products I wanted to use for tonight's live. There is a journal underneath here. And obviously I've got some transparency prints and some other bits. Hello Alison, hello Sam. Okay. So yeah, I did get a bit overexcited when selecting the products I wanted to use, because it was just sort of like, oh, I haven't used that in a while, and I haven't used that in a while, and I haven't used that in a while. So there is quite a bit. I'm hoping to use most of it, because I don't know I'll be able to use everything I've picked out. But that's okay. That's okay. The important thing is I've made a selection. Okay, I've made a selection. So the first thing, where I started, was I knew I wanted to do some art journaling tonight. Let's move some of this out of the way. So I knew I wanted to do some art journaling tonight, and I'm still sort of getting back into my mojo. So I decided upon this fantastic Catalyst Collage, because what I love about this is it's got several colours going on. There's a lot of composition in there already. So I feel like that gives me an easier leaping off point. Let me just zoom out a little bit, because you haven't got the whole book there, have you? There we go. So, you know, I thought that'll give me at least a really good leaping off point. So from there, I was like, I haven't used a transparency prints in a while. So I've picked out some with some sentiments on, and I thought the black, like the clear on black, would be really good, because obviously you've got this black and white photo, so I've got those. I also got some of the circles, because I thought they're really good. And then I was like, oh, well, I might need some paint to go behind them. Now, I'm not for 1 minute, like I say, saying that I'm going to use all of these things. So I thought, right, so I picked out the Dina Wakley acrylic paint. I've got the raspberry and the mustard, because I thought they go. And then I've picked out some of the legit glossy acrylic medium from Dina Wakley as well. And then, you see what I mean? I've picked out a lot of product. I don't know if I'm going to be able to use it all, because I just don't know. Okay. And then I've picked out my Metalwork Alpha 6x6 inkable. And then I was thinking, what about some, collage bits, some stamped ephemera? Well, I opened up this little box, which I stamped on collage card, and I thought, these are the right sort of colours. So these are from a collage card. But doesn't the colourway on that just sort of match up perfectly to this Catalyst Collage? Now, obviously, I could fib and say, yeah, it was totally. I totally make sure, but we know that's not true. So this is a definite happy accident that this Catalyst card and this Catalyst Collage have got such a fantastically corresponding colour palette. But I tell you what, I also haven't done in a while. Let's move that to the side. I haven't done much stamping with paint, so this could have some really amusing results, by the way. So I thought some stamping with some acrylic paint, a good way. Oh, I also did get, that script transparency print as well, because I think that's going to go quite nicely. So I've got these art backgrounds that Sam did, because I think, like, for example, these will go really well being stamped with the acrylic paint. You see, it's part of a plan, it's part of a process. So I think if I use 50% of all the products I've selected for this evening's live, huzzah, basically. What else can you do? Right, so the first thing I'm going to do, surprise, surprise, is I'm going to stick this down. Now, I'll tell you what I haven't tried with this yet. I bet you Alison has. And that is seeing if it will tear with water. So that's what we're going to do. Right, I'm going to give it a bit of a... I'm going to just try and go around. Because it is lightweight, but it's not tissue. So let's see how this works. Now, I'm doing it from the back because how it's printed almost seals the paper. So you want to go on your non-printed side because, in fairness, the water just will not penetrate through the front, which is why you can do water techniques and things like that on it. So let's see. We just need it to give it a bit of a helping hand. Oh, look at that. So I can have a softer edge. Ooh, nice. Just start it off. I reckon had I saturated that a bit more, you know. But a softer edge is definitely being achieved. Oh, see this side where it's the water soaked in a bit more. It's coming off much lovely. Okay, and then beautiful. Stunning. I'm really, really happy with that. So, yeah, because it's not a rice paper or tissue paper, it's going to need more. See, I knew Alison would have done it. I knew it. Right? But that's actually... I'm actually really, really happy with that edge. Cracking. Absolutely love it. Right. So let's get some matte medium and get this stuck down. So I'm in the Dina Wakley Blue Journal. It's really textured, heavyweight cardstock in this. So I'm really going to get some matte medium down. This is because of what I'm putting it on rather than the Catalyst Collage itself. So that's why I'm going so heavy on there. And then I'll just put a light one on here. And then we'll put that on there. Is that about where we want it? Looks good to me. I'll just push it out. Put a little bit more down here. It's so warm, everything just dries out so quick, doesn't it, in this weather? So if you're using wet mediums and stuff, it can make it a little bit more challenging. But that's okay. But I do think these more, I can't think of the word. These fuller Catalyst Collage that we've done are really, really good if you are suffering from that little bit of lackluster mojo, because I'm really struggling at the minute. I won't lie, I really am. And I just think having these that have got that sort of, you know, there's a few different colours on there, you know, there's some text here. Not only does it give me a really good starting point for lots and lots of things, but also it means if I don't have it in me to add lots and lots of things, you don't have to. You don't feel that obligation to add in a load of things if you don't want to, which I think is really, really cool. I'll tell you what I also should have picked up in terms of paint, and that is some white. Just bear with me. Maybe on my desk. I've got some Illusions white on my desk, which isn't quite as opaque, but it will do the job. Maybe. Oh, I've got some gesso there. Let's do that instead. Use some gesso. There we go. All right. I'm just going to put those in for now because the gloss I might use is more of a droplet sort of situation. I'm not entirely decided, but we'll go with it. I think what I'm going to do first, you know, is just add on just a little bit of mark making, just to sort of take this paper just a little bit more bespoke to this page. Then I'll go for some of the raspberry. Now we know I can get a little bit overexcited with the raspberry. But why wouldn't you? Look at it. It's such a good colour. That's it. I'm working over the edge because what we're trying to do is make that edge not disappear. Like we're quite happy that it's there. But, you know, make sure that it all looks like it's part of the same thing. And then go in with some mustard. You feel that mustard is almost like a perfect match to that, which is so cool. We're just going to add on just a little bit of freehand work. You can almost paint in the centre of that flower again. In the middle of those flowers. And as well, this can really sort of get your creativity going, which is lovely. All right, so I'm going to give that a little waft with my heat tool, just so we can start moving on with the next layer. Okay, dry enough, which as we all know is the yardstick. Doesn't have to be dry, just has to be dry enough. Right, I'm just going to lift these out of the way, and I'm going to get a paint afflicted blending mat, of which I have an abundance. Okay, so this one has paint. Okay, so I'm going to get these circles here and get some of my paint and paint it onto my blending mat. And then just add the circles on just wherever you want, really. Now, like I say, in this heat, these are drying ever so quickly. So I will make sure I just give them a quick mist and a wipe to get most of it off. To be honest, that's probably the cleanest that stamp's been since I got it. Okay, and then I think we'll go for... Yeah, I think I'm going to save that one and add some black ink. Let's go for this one, which is from the number 2 set. And this one is all... The number 2 set is all about lines. Okay, so you have lots of... We've got different thicknesses and adjustments. This one is more about shapes. So both really sort of work for you in different ways. Just get the pink off that brush. It's also great if you're not massively comfortable putting marks on freehand paintbrush, or you just don't like it. You know, if you prefer a stamp or a stencil, you know, absolutely do that. It sort of can give you this fantastic sort of outline effect for the stamp, which I really, really like. So we're just sort of adding into that background. And then, like I said, I think I'm going to take this one here. I'm going to get my VersaFine black. And we're just going to add in some black sections. As you can see, I'm not putting them on a super skinny slim. I'm just sort of going in. I'm just rotating it round. In all honesty, so I don't try and get any paint on my ink pad. Okay, so I'm going to put the lid back on that. And we'll give that a spritz, just to get any paint off there. I think that's the most you've ever seen me clean my stamps. Oh, hang on. I'm about to have quite a severe crafter lunch. Sorry, I didn't put my phone on silent and it's buzzing. And then my comments have disappeared because I've pressed something. Okie dokie, there we go. Right, I had lost some comments, so sorry. Hello, Rachel, are you all right, my lovely? Right, so I'm going to give this a very gentle waft again. Okay. I'm actually loving this, and I don't think you would have to do any more to it, but I feel like I haven't even added on half the products yet, so I'm going to have to do something else. But I think it does show you how quickly, using the Catalyst Collage, you can put a page together. You know, it really is so quick, so easy, which is brilliant. Which is absolutely brilliant. Hang on, I'm just having... I put my blending brushes when I tidied my room. Well, it wasn't so much a tidy, it was a bit of a reorganisation. So if I've moved stuff and put them away, it's a miracle I can find anything. Now, because I paint, a blue paint so far, I'm thinking I might add a blue with the Metalwork Alpha. Okay, so as I'm actually going to go in with a blending brush, I'm going to give that more of a waft. There's a few little areas that are not as dry as I would like them to be. Okay, so we'll leave that at that. I'm going to go with, I'm going to try and match it up to sort of this colour here, which I think, it's not Blueprint Sketch, it's not quite that colour. Mermaid Lagoon looks close. Let's try that. It doesn't have to match up perfectly anyway. Just has to... Sorry, did everything go a bit wibbly there? Okay. So we're just going to... put some of this directly over the top. Just add some of that blue back in. Absolutely the right choice of colour, I would say. Then do a bit more up here. And I'm using the oxides so that the colour will sit on top of the other things we have going on. Absolutely beautiful. And then I'll do this side as well as we're here. actually going to really make them really blue this side. And I actually think that has actually brought it to a stage where you could finish, because it's just brought that blue back in. And we've almost reimagined the Catalyst Collage as it was, which is brilliant. Like I've said before, the Catalyst Collage are there to do it for you if that's all you've got the energy for. But if it ends up inspiring you and you're covering a lot of it over, that's excellent too. You know, it's not about... I'm not sat here watching the things you make going, oh, well, they've covered up most of it. That's absolutely fine. The whole point of it is to really sort of get your creativity going. So I hope that's what they do for you. Right. So from here, we're going to start adding in some transparency prints. Right, so I am just sort of... This is where I have to make a choice between bright light or... So we can see a bit more. I wonder if that's a bit too much, a bit too wide. Tell you what we'll do, we'll cut it in half and then see how we go. See, I'm thinking there might be quite good. Oh yeah, I like that. Right, so I'm going to add my matte medium to the back of the transparency print because I don't want to move any of the water-based inks behind, or at least keep it to a minimum. Now that will dry clear, so everything else will show up. And then I'm going to do the same here. Add the matte medium. Now, if you were just adding these straight onto your Catalyst card or paper, and you hadn't, and over your acrylic paints, and you hadn't used any water-based inks, you could absolutely just go straight on with your matte medium and not worry about it. Would be absolutely fine. But the thing I like about the transparency print, of course, if you didn't want this, you know, the glossiness of the transparency, you can knock that back with a bit of matte medium. Does exactly what it says on the tin. Makes it matte. Okay, you can just go over the top and that knocks some of that glossy back. But also, you could use that sort of scripty stamp from the art textures that I just showed you, the Sam set from set 2, and do it on some Bee Crafty stamping tissue and layer it on, and you'd be absolutely fine. So there is that. Okay, from here, I worry these circles are going to be a bit too big and overpowering. I did have some little ones. I'm worried for those the opposite is true, and those are a bit small. So I might go for some of the medium-sized ones. Right, let's have a look. And the thing about your transparency prints, we do these just in packs of 2, so it's not like you have to commit to a big pack. You just get 2 A5s in a pack. Right, I will cut round them because I only want the glossiness to be where they are. I'm not massively worried about it being too, you know, accurately specific or anything. But I just don't want the sharp corners. Sorry, I keep cutting off to the side. I just don't want the sharp corners Okay, so I do like those there. So I'll do exactly the same. Put my matte medium on the back. Like I say, I wouldn't worry about putting too much on or anything like that. If it's an alright matte medium, it'll dry clear. Okay, and then I'm going to go for a transparency print words, and I think I'm just going to go with the Hello You off here. So I'm going to cut that out, and I'm going to cut it short because I really want to fit in that gap. Of course, if straight lines are important to you, you could use a trimmer or a knife and a ruler. Straight lines are not important to me. If you did want that to really stand out, maybe with a white background, that is really easy to do. What I would do, let's do it actually, is I would get either you could use your gesso, but I often find it's just quicker to grab a Posca. And the reason I find it quicker, because obviously it's slightly more labour intensive, if you can call it that, but it's the drying time. By the time I get to the end, everything's dry, which means I don't have to wait, and for me that's quicker. I don't expect you all to. I fully expect some of you to go, yeah, but it's not actually quicker though, is it? Well, probably not. I said I find it quicker. As we know, I'm not a patient crafter. I like it on. I like results. Okay, so when you flip that over, you see it's then really white and sort of stands out a bit more. So that is totally something you can do, and obviously you can do it with, the beauty of that is you can do it with any acrylic marker or acrylic paint. So you can, the clear on black sentiments in the transparency prints, you really can, I think, are more easy to adapt colour wise than the others, because you can just colour the letters in at the back and it just absolutely fits. Okay, so I'm going to put my lid back on my matte medium. Okay, she says, but it doesn't seem to be working. And then I'm going to have a shake up of some of the Dina Wakley gloss in the blue. I think I'm just going to put a little bit of blue back on. There we go. The gloss drops. I'm just going to put a few of the drops and the thing is, because they dry glossy, they'll sort of work with the transparency prints. Okay, should have done this before. I'm going to take my Posca and just add on a few sort of, I'm actually going to make that a proper heart. Elements on here. I might actually do some on the gloss drops when they're dry as well. So add a bit onto that too there. I'm going to add a little bit around this flower on her face. I'm going to go over the transparency print and around that there. Okay, I'll add a little bit more down here. And then I'm going to get some of, I'm going to get a wet brush. Just one of the ones we've used earlier, if I can get it clean enough. Not really. And take some of the gesso on here. I'm going to spritz it with my mister. Sort of get a little bit of colour. And then we're going to add some white paint flecks all over. Because I used to do this on absolutely everything, haven't done it for ages, and that's kind of the theme of tonight's page. And do a few more little precise dots and marks. White paint flicks. I'll tell you what, well, any paint flicks really. They're all good. So, that is an absolutely beautiful page that I am really, really pleased with. So, your challenge for this week, by the way, I didn't see any selfies in the Bee Crafty Stamps group. So, make sure you get on that. But if I have missed them, tag me. So, your challenge for this week is to grab a Bee Crafty product that you haven't used either for a while or at all yet. Something like the transparency prints that you thought, oh, they're good. And they're quite inexpensive. I'll grab some of those, but you haven't used them. I want you to this week on a journal page. Bear in mind, your journal pages, they don't have to be big journal pages like this one. They can be small ones. You know, grab... Oh, there was very just nearly a problem. Grab a small book. Use them in there. Look, that's a transparency print behind there. Brilliant. Okay, you don't have, it doesn't always have to be a big project. Start small, use them on a tag, something like that. I think you'll absolutely love it. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of a moment, so just bear with me. If you're not interested in my moments, feel free to leave or fast forward, but please watch the video to the end if you're catching up. It all helps. I think it is becoming more and more obvious that every industry, including the craft one, is struggling at the minute. So if you are not in a position to buy, which we totally understand, if you can comment, leave a comment on anything you see by Bee Crafty or anything that Bee Crafty's tagged in that our fantastic creative team are making online, that would be absolutely fantastic. It's all a way of the social media peeps, algorithms, whatever, thinking our content is valuable. And one day, who knows, we might even be able just to make enough making content, but we are definitely not there yet. We're not even monetized on any of our channels, so if you can do that, that would be absolutely fantastic. We very, very much appreciate it. We do have new products coming soon, so keep your eyes out, but that's not going to be, I don't know if that's going to be before the very end of July. To be fair, what's the date? It might be the beginning of August. But we have lots of fantastic products. So why not have a pop on over? And we have something in all the affordability ranges. The transparency prints start at just $1.99. Okay then, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Please check out the website, follow any of the links, and I will, of course, see you on Try It Out Tuesday next week. Sally should be here, well, not here, on the Bee Crafty Facebook page tomorrow at 8 p.m. And I should be in Crafting Together on Thursday. But the way this week's running out, and I'm just so busy, I wouldn't want to make you any guarantees because I'm all over everywhere. These pesky kids, I tell you, making sure they have a life. But thank you so much for joining me. Have a go at this page. It was such good fun.